and welcome to this episode of UD3 Next Gen Update 3 in EPM. I'm going to start by showing you a small enhancement here in EPM. I'm going to start by coming up to our lookup icon and show you that previously when we would search by phone number, we could only search by home phone, and now when we search by number, we can actually search by any number. So when I type in this combination of numbers, if you notice here in the home phone section, I only have one number that shows up as a home phone number with this combination of numbers. So this number obviously comes up in other sections for this particular number. So we can actually search by cell number, work number, any other phone number that we might have this patient under, so or a patient under. So for instance, for my own children, when I search for my home number, it actually comes up in a couple of different areas for my children. So I have it listed as listed in the other field for my children, and it was able to pull them up. So small enhancement, but an enhancement nonetheless. I'm going to go ahead and close here, and I'm going to go ahead and come into a chart of my test patient. All right, I'm going to go ahead and open up Daisy Duck here. Right here under my patient Daisy Duck, I have some alerts right here. I'm going to go ahead and acknowledge these and point out our big enhancement right here in EPM is this patient information bar right here across the top. Those alerts that I just acknowledged are also viewable right here just by hovering. So when I hover over the alerts, it shows me these same alerts right here. And so these alerts are only hoverable here. They will be added and expired in the same way they were previously. So you still have to go into the clinical history notes in order to be able to add or expire those. Okay, coming across the top here, I have my person number and medical record number here. These buttons over here across the top are new. If I hover over the appointment button, I can see my patient's history of appointments. If my patient had any pending appointments, I could go ahead and see into the future for appointments or for previous appointments. If you notice right here, I have an appointment on May the 5th that was actually canceled, but I do have some appointments into the future for this patient, so you can see those on here as well. So 4 appointments in the past, 4 appointments into the future. Okay. If I hover over my insurance, I can see my insurance and any notes on my insurance card here. If I hover over my patient balance, I can see a patient balance. And if I hover over the recall plans, this is going to be used by our billing and coding department, not typically used by any MORs or anyone in patient communications. This is a refresh button. So this little icon right here is a refresh button. This would be used if you had any information and you couldn't quite see it yet. You would go ahead and click there to add the information. This next little icon here, this arrow up, is essentially to minimize the patient information bar. So I would go ahead and click on this. If you notice, my patient information bar has collapsed. Where I would see value in this is if you were perhaps working on a laptop. This would give you a little more screen space here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and maximize this by clicking on the down arrow, and then it goes ahead and expands my patient information bar. And then I have my close button here. So if I were to go ahead and use this close button, what that does is it closes my patient information bar. However, if I were to do that, I would have to then exit completely out and then come all the way back in and reselect my patient in order to see my patient information bar. And so I'm not going to go ahead and click that now, but just so you know, if you do select that, you will have to re-enter the patient record in order to see your patient information bar again. These links here across the top, demographics and UDS, are new. this demographics and UDS link will essentially take you to the same place. They will take you to the UDS tab. But I'm going to go ahead and click on the demographics just to show you that. So if I click that, that will take you to the UDS tab on the Modify Patient Information tab here. I'll go ahead and close that here. Our eligibility results will show us eligibility. So this is for anybody, MOR staff. This might show you eligibility right through here. And then EPM tasks for anyone who does EPM tasking. So for any of our billing and coding staff, perhaps our MOR staff would find this beneficial. EPM tasks are done right through here. So this is not to be confused with EHR tasking. That is still done in EHR. Okay. The next thing I'm going to show you, just coming across the top over here, is our patient portal icon. So here's patient portal. It's referred to as the patient portal. It's no longer NextMD. So this is the patient portal. The first thing I want to point out is the fact that it is an icon. So the icon here is this little blue icon with the yellow bubbles. That actually is the icon tells me that my patient has completed their enrollment. I can tell that by that particular icon. I can also tell by hovering over the icon that it has been completed because it says so. It also tells me the last login date as well as the time my patient last logged in. This button is also clickable. So if I go ahead and click on there, it'll open up the information. I can add care managers and dependents here. I can reset a password. I can go ahead and update an email address. And I can also unenroll a patient if I needed to right through here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click OK right through here. There's a separate video for patient portal information, but I did want to show you some more information about these icons. So I'm going to go ahead and pause for just a second here so I can pull up a screenshot. So just one second. All right, so this screenshot right here is to familiarize you with these different icons. So this is the icon I just showed you in EPM. This tells me that my patient has completed their enrollment. My patient is not enrolled. This person is pending enrollment. My patient has enrolled, but their account is locked. And this person has deferred or declined enrollment. So you'd either expect to see deferred, declined enrollment or completed enrollment in order to meet our meaningful use enrollment numbers. So either we want to encourage our patients to have completed their enrollment or to have declined enrollment. So if you have any questions about these different icons or what they mean, please give us a call at the help desk at 309-4300. If you have patients who state that they are having problems enrolling or having problems logging into their portal accounts, ask them to give us a call. We're here to help for that as well. I'm going to go ahead and pause again while I pull up EPM. Just one second. Okay, so here is EPM again. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of my EPM. And I'm just going to go ahead and open up my appointment book here. I'm going to go ahead and double click here to schedule an appointment. And I'm going to come up here. I'm going to come to my lookup. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and pull up Daisy again here. And I'll just acknowledge this. So the first thing I want to point out on here are these little call buttons. And so what these little buttons mean here for our patient communications people is these are what relate to our EDI preferences for our patients. And so you will want to talk to your supervisors about how this relates to you in patient communications. How this is new is that previously we only had home phone and day phone icons here, and now we have these available for the alternate, secondary, and for the cell phone numbers. So this is new for us. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and say okay there so that it pulls my my patient's information in here. We have all of this additional information that's available here. Of course, this is not modifiable through here, but this is just where you would verify information for your patient. We now can see their alternate secondary home number, email, and cell number here. This was not viewable previously. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and come through here, and I'm just going to finish the scheduling of my appointment. But I wanted to also show you some of the things that are new here along the side. Right here, if I click on my insurance diag tab, if I come through here, let me just make this a little bit bigger. So I'm going to go ahead and expand this. Right here on my Blue Cross Blue Shield of Arizona, if I hover over the blue link, it tells me when my patient's insurance was effective. I have no expiration date on that one, but right here on this one that's clearly expired, if I hover over it, it'll actually show me the expiration date. Okay? Right here on my insurance card, I have a blue tack. It'll tell me when the card was last attached. This one was attached on January 10th, 2017. This tack is actually clickable, so I'm going to go ahead and click on that tack. Here is a copy of my patient's insurance card. Okay, so I can actually see a copy of my patient's insurance card. I'm going to say no here. My patient's benefit information, I'm just hovering to see any notes that are on here. And then if I come over here to these notes, I can see that this insurance card was scanned. This is where any detailed notes would appear. The date of service was verified for 4/14/2017. And those initials actually don't belong to me, and I'm the one who verified them. So I'm going to just click on that, and I'm going to come in here and put my initials in here. Since I'm the one that verified it, I'll go ahead and click OK. And now when I hover over it, it's got my initials on there. Okay, so this is new. If you need to click on any of these tags, you would go ahead and click on those. Okay. The next item that's new on this scheduling tab is the care guidelines. So I'm going to go ahead and click here and show you a little bit about the care guidelines. So for clinical staff, this is not something that's new, but for non-clinical staff, meaning front office people and patient communications people, what care guidelines are things that every patient should have. So for instance, a pediatric patient needs to have their immunizations every couple of months, every couple of years for certain patients based on their age, correct? Okay, so for a diabetic patient needs to have a foot exam, they need to have their diabetic eye exam, they also need to have their hemoglobin A1C and urine microalbumin periodically as well. Okay, so for this particular patient, this patient needs the hemoglobin A1C, their HIV, urine microalbumin, dilated eye exam, and a mammogram. All of these things are due at this time. Okay, so if these things make sense to you based on what I said, if my patient's calling and they're saying, oh no, I'm just coming in to have my blood pressure checked, and you happen to notice that the patient needs more based on what you see right here, then you might say to the patient, you know, it seems like you might actually need to have a little bit more than that done. I would go ahead and send a message to the doctor. Maybe. So that's one example. The other example where these might come in handy to you is patient's mom calls and says, I think my child needs to have their hepatitis B vaccine done. I'm not sure if they got all three of them done. So this would be a real easy place for you to come see if they had all of those done without actually getting into their record, because right here would tell you if they had anything due. Does that make sense? Yeah, not that you can answer me, but I'm just giving you guys scenarios. So these are ways that the care guidelines might come in handy for you, scheduling staff or front office staff in the future. These are fine details that are still being worked out by our clinic leadership. And so some of these details are going to be sent out to you guys later on. And so I just wanted to give you an idea of some scenarios that they might be handy for you in. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and click OK here. And my patient is actually now on the schedule. So I'm going to go ahead and just switch over to EHR. And here I am in my patient record. So really the only thing that has changed over here in EHR is this link here. So usually for those of you working at the front desk, I believe that the majority of you are using this patient checked in button to check in your patients. But if you were using your tracking buttons here, the only thing that's changed is that the tracking buttons used to previously be here along the side, and it's just moved to be horizontal instead of vertical. Okay, the alerts button used to also sit over here, and it's moved over here. They also now have an appointments button similar to the one that you saw in the EPM link before. Okay, so those are our changes in EPM for our MOR staff and patient communication staff in EPM. And I know I took you over to EHR as well. I hope that this was useful to you. We will have staff out in the clinics the day of our go live. If you need any help, please give us a call at 309-4300. Thank you.